70 years before Christopher Columbus ever set foot on American soil, a colossal fleet of wooden ships, dwarfing anything built in Europe, vanished into the endless fog of history. Did they leave a map completely rewriting reality? In 1421, the great Admiral Zheng He commanded a legendary armada of massive treasure ships across the known oceans. Official imperial records say they turned back, but forbidden ancient documents suggest an entirely different truth. Hidden beneath centuries of dust and deliberate imperial erasure, a highly controversial chart known as the 1918 map surfaced. It depicts the Americas with impossible accuracy, allegedly copied from a Ming Dynasty original. Is it real? If this heavily weathered parchment is an authentic artifact, it shatters the entire foundation of Western discovery narratives. We must treat this ancient map as high-precision forensic evidence. Who really mapped the globe centuries before European explorers? To understand this earth-shattering anomaly, we must first deeply analyze the mind-boggling scale of the Ming Dynasty treasure fleet. These were not mere boats. They were floating wooden fortresses, measuring well over 400 feet in length. Compared to the Santa Maria, which was a tiny fraction of that size, these Chinese juggernauts were marvels of advanced oceanic engineering. They carried tens of thousands of sailors, elite diplomats, scientists, and highly skilled imperial cartographers. Zheng He was a brilliant, ruthless strategist, tasked by the Yongle Emperor to perfectly map the world and extract tribute. For decades, his mighty fleet heavily navigated the Indian Ocean, reaching the coast of Africa safely. Yet after the emperor finally died, the political winds in China shifted drastically. The new regime violently ordered the fleet destroyed, and all expedition records burned to ash. A deliberate dark age erased their greatest maritime achievements. Why would a powerful empire suddenly burn its own glorious history? Some rogue modern historians believe the fiery destruction was a massive cover-up. They boldly argue a splinter fraction of the armada ultimately sailed to America. This brings us directly to the most controversial piece of physical evidence in modern cartography: the impossible map purchased by lawyer Liu Gang in 2001. It is a stunning, heavily weathered global anomaly. The map clearly displays the distinct, complex coastlines of North and South America, complete with massive river systems. What makes this deeply chilling is the archaic text written on the map itself, dating the source to 1418. Furious critics immediately labeled it a brilliant modern forgery. They argue the projection style perfectly mirrors 17th century European maps. But microscopic ink analysis reveals a deep, highly complex degradation of the rare pigments, suggesting genuine ancient origins. Even more unsettling are the specific geographical anomalies permanently stained onto the parchment. It perfectly shows California as an island, a common ancient misconception, but also features remarkably accurate depictions of the inland American mountain ranges. How could a simple ancient copyist possess such granular topographical knowledge unless the original source material was compiled by actual boots on the ground? The forensic details embedded in the paper fibers hint at a massive expedition. Before we finally uncover the terrifying physical evidence found secretly buried on the American coast, you need to subscribe. We relentlessly decode the greatest hidden anomalies of our ancient past. Join us and never view history the same. Beyond the heavily disputed map, massive physical anomalies permanently plague the western shores of the Americas. In 1973, deep-sea divers off the coast of California discovered peculiar, massive stone anchors scattered across the ocean floor. These submerged ancient artifacts are heavily carved from a highly specific type of heavy limestone. Geologists noted they absolutely do not match local American rock formations. Instead, they perfectly mirror the distinctive mooring stones of Ming's ships. If Chinese oceanic explorers didn't drop these massive stone anchors, who actually did? Mainstream archaeology easily dismisses them as later 19th century ballast stones. But their precise cylindrical carving and sheer immense weight suggest a much older operation. Moving far inland, curious researchers have meticulously documented inexplicable linguistic and cultural parallels between indigenous American tribes and ancient Chinese civilizations. Some tribal myths loudly speak of massive wooden houses floating on the sea, carrying strange men. We also find massive anomalies hidden in the ancient flora. The sweet potato, native to South America, was inexplicably present in Polynesia and Asia long before European contact. A massive transoceanic biological exchange network existed in secrecy. Could Zheng He's rogue naval admirals have secretly initiated a highly covert biological and cultural trade route? The imperial archives were completely burned, plunging their vast discoveries into the void. We are sadly left analyzing scattered ashes. Another truly haunting piece of the global puzzle lies deeply buried in metallurgy. Anomalous bronze artifacts safely recovered from the coastal regions of Alaska show distinct smelting techniques that very closely resemble ancient Chinese advanced metallurgical practices. To perfectly forge these highly specific alloys requires extreme heat and incredibly precise chemical knowledge. It is a forensic footprint left completely behind by a highly advanced expeditionary force, desperately attempting to survive on violently foreign shores. Let us carefully reconsider the sheer massive capability of the Ming fleet. They possessed highly advanced magnetic compasses, complex star-tracking navigation boards, and compartmentalized ship hulls. They were technologically equipped to safely survive the brutal Pacific crossing. The immense Pacific Ocean currents naturally and aggressively sweep lost vessels toward the North American coast. A mighty fleet caught in a massive oceanic storm could be violently pushed across the expanse, forcing them to survive. If they violently crash-landed, where are the massive shipwrecks? The enormous wooden hulls of the treasure fleet, while incredibly massive, would have completely deteriorated after 6 long centuries submerged in the highly volatile, shifting coastal waters. The glaring absence of massive wooden wrecks does not logically prove the absolute absence of the ancient explorers. We must look closer at the microscopic evidence. Coastal soil samples magically show unusual concentrations of highly specific Asian microbes. Furthermore, early brutal Spanish conquistadors clearly recorded highly strange encounters. They vividly noted finding indigenous peoples possessing torn fragments of extremely fine silk and shattered, delicate porcelain. Where did these distinctly luxury Chinese goods actually come from? The dark answer aggressively keeps pointing back directly to the Ghost Fleet of 1421. The surviving ancient map is just a heavily compressed echo of their massive data collection. A fragile memory copied in complete secret. We must logically view this entire massive historical narrative as a heavily compromised crime scene. The systematic destruction of the Ming imperial records was a highly intentional act to bury the truth. The map leaked from darkness. As we relentlessly analyze the deep, chilling chiaroscuro of history, the heavy shadows conceal a truly terrifying reality. Our accepted modern timeline is an artificially constructed false narrative. The brave ancients were far more connected and vastly advanced. The impossible map of 1418, entirely regardless of its highly controversial modern origin, aggressively acts as a haunting glitch in the matrix of accepted orthodox archaeology. It violently forces us to endlessly question rigid academic boundaries. Every single weathered contour line permanently drawn on that ancient parchment quietly whispers of a massive global network that secretly existed in the dark. A forgotten time when massive wooden leviathans truly commanded the violent, massive ocean waves. The massive exploration legacy of Admiral Zheng He violently extends far beyond the Indian Ocean. His forgotten rogue captains bravely mapped the absolute edges of the entire world, leaving behind fragmented forensic evidence that we are only now decoding.